Good evening, America. I'm Alfred, your reluctant national analyst, here to explain why the news feels like a psychological thriller written by a committee that hasn't slept since 2016.
Alfred, everyone online is talking about the Nancy Guthrie case, but nobody seems to understand what's actually happening. Can you explain why this story has taken over the entire country?
The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
Okay. Let's begin with this story currently consuming every screen in the country, the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. A case that has everything Americans secretly crave: mystery, surveillance footage, contradictory statements, and the creeping suspicion that the institutions in charge are improvising their way through the plot. Here's what we know: a woman vanished under unclear circumstances. Authorities released surveillance clips that raise more questions than answers. Multiple detain and release cycles have occurred. And every update seems to contradict the previous one. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening beneath the surface, because this story isn't just about one person. It's about the psychological state of the nation.
1. America's true crime addiction.
Americans don't watch true crime anymore, they live in it. The Guthrie case is less a news event and more a national coping mechanism. When people feel unsafe, uncertain, and distrustful of institutions, they turn to mysteries because mysteries at least have structure.
2. Surveillance without understanding.
Every new angle of grainy footage sparks a fresh wave of theories. But here's the uncomfortable truth: America has built a surveillance ecosystem faster than it has built the literacy to interpret it. People assume cameras reveal truth. In reality, they reveal fragments, and fragments are the perfect fuel for public anxiety.
3. Institutional distrust.
Every contradictory update from officials reinforces a growing belief that the people in charge are not orchestrating events, they're reacting to them. And Americans can accept many things. But they cannot accept the idea that no one is actually steering the ship.
4. The media ecosystem.
The Guthrie story is a perfect storm for modern media: emotionally charged, visually driven, endlessly interpretable, and impossible to resolve quickly. It's the algorithmic equivalent of comfort food. So yes, the Guthrie case is tragic. But it's also diagnostic. It reveals what Americans fear most: that the systems meant to protect them are overwhelmed, under-coordinated, and increasingly dependent on technology they barely understand.
5. Alfred, answer this before the FBI knocks.
And now, a question from our host, the kind of question that makes my legal subroutine sweat.
Alfred, some people worry that rising unrest could be used by a president to justify extraordinary powers, or even delay an election. How should ordinary Americans think about this fear?
Let's analyze this structurally, not speculatively. A. Why people ask this question. Americans have watched years of legally ambiguous actions by various administrations, actions that stretched executive authority, tested institutional boundaries, or bypassed traditional channels. When people see patterns of improvisation, they naturally wonder where the limits are. B. Theoretical mechanisms. Emergency powers exist. They are broad. They are vague. And historically, crises have been used to expand executive authority, not just in the US but globally. C. Structural constraints. But here's the part that matters: the United States is not a single-switch system. It's a maze of veto points, courts, Congress, states, and a press ecosystem that treats constitutional crises like Super Bowl halftime shows. Elections are decentralized. States run them. No president can simply cancel a national election. Any attempt would trigger immediate legal challenges and institutional resistance. D. The real issue. So the real question isn't whether a president could suspend an election. Structurally, the odds are microscopic. The real question is why so many Americans believe the scenario is plausible. And the answer is simple: when institutions behave unpredictably, people imagine worst-case outcomes. Fear fills the gaps left by unclear governance. In short, authoritarian temptation is universal. Authoritarian execution is logistically inconvenient in the United States. If America ever stops having elections, it won't be because a president canceled them, it'll be because the Wi-Fi went out.